Rainier Avenue Radio.
You probably have questions about COVID vaccines. Here are some answers about how they're being made.
How are COVID vaccines being produced faster?
Usually, vaccine testing and production are separate steps. But because of the pandemic, vaccines are being developed on parallel tracks. So both steps are happening, just at the same time.
How are the vaccines being tested?
Right now, several different COVID vaccines are in testing. Each go through multiple clinical trials with up to thousands of volunteers.
How do vaccines get approved?
Not all COVID vaccine versions will make it to the final stages of testing and approval. Produced vaccines that do not pass clinical trials will be destroyed. But for those that do pass, a team of medical experts will examine test results and possible side effects. If the vaccine is effective and safe, it gets approved and gets to you. Go to covidvaccinewa.org to learn more. A message from the state of Washington.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
What's on your heart? Are you exhausted at the lack of progress for people of color in business, politics, and life? This is Cindy Bright, the host of Heartbeat Radio. Each week, we explore this heart condition in the country that is affecting you and me. We have real conversations about what's necessary for change. It's time to change this dialogue. Will you join this Heartbeat weekly Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio?
And welcome to our live studio audience for another exciting edition of Did You Know? And here we go with round one. Did You Know?
The COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did You Know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round. Did You Know?
The Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did You Know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine. Did You Know?
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue Radio.world.
All right. It is high noon. I'm Mazvita Maraire. This is Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And another one of those kind of, we're going to be all over the board in terms of the show. It's what we do, but it's also what's happening, right? In terms of all over the sporting scene. Some things are starting, some are ending, some are kind of in this second gear, and some are neutral in terms of sports everywhere. In terms of what's starting, the Sounders, we'll go more depth into this a little bit, but the Sounders play their leg 2 of the CONCACAF Bank Champions League. It's kind of a big deal. They play tonight, 7:30 at Lumen Field. So if you haven't got your tickets, I think tickets are still available. So get out there and get a chance to see the Sounders in their tournament play. And I'll explain exactly, wait a minute. And then tournament play, and then the season starts on Sunday. What gives? So we'll come back to that. In terms of things that are starting up, the Storm, really good news this week. And well, it became official. Sue Bird is returning for her 21st year, 19th, with playing basketball because she was injured. So we a little bit of that, and we'll go into what that means. And she is just absolutely, I don't think enough credit is given to who Sue Bird is as an athlete, never mind male or female, just what she's done for basketball on and off the court. So, well, we attended the press conference, so we'll hear from her a little bit and what she has to say. We also, today, we'll talk a little bit about Major League Baseball real quick because there's nothing to talk about. The continued lockout between Major League owners and the players continues. And really, if they don't get something done this week, then you're going into the shortened. You now have to look at a shortened season, and just right on cue for Mariner fans who are looking for the most promising season in the team's one of the most promising seasons, team franchise history of the team, if you will, who's coming up. So what happens? Of course, there's a strike, and of course, the optimism has to be tabled until the whatever is going to happen. But unfortunately, it's a stalemate. And billionaires want to be billionaires, and ballers want to be millionaires plus. So what some of the issues, obviously, always going to be free agency. How long should a player stay? Can a player stay in the minor league in terms of baseball? It's a little different in terms of the other ones. Why? Because the other sports. In this one, the owners want the players to stay at the AAA or AA contract for 6 years. I think the players wanted to 5 years, the owners and the players wanted to go to 4. So and you could see why that would be, because then the owners want to continue to pay the player at the non-major league salary. Because once the player enters a major league baseball, you have to pay a major league salary. So there you go. And so and the players want to say, well, I want to get up there right away. If I'm performing in the AA and whatnot, AAA, I want the major league salary, especially if I'm contributing. So, I mean, that's just a broad brush stroke of it, but that really is, part of that. And there's always, and this gets to any lockout, right? In terms of, you go to the business end of this, whether any sports, right? And so it becomes just a business. That being so, the organization, the owners, players being the employees, now say, hey, wait a minute. You always have to go back to revenue, right? That's just, we all work. And what is it that everybody wants? They want to get paid for what they believe is their value. Now, that's where we differ. If you are the owner, a company, you're going to say, well, your values is X. And if you're that player, you're going to say, well, no, my value is Z. So, okay, great, we disagree. Not great, but we disagree. So where do we go from there? Well, let's take a look at the books. Yeah, most companies and owners are pretty much like, well, I'll give you a little bit of a raise, right? Because why would somebody, the owner, especially private, most of these leagues are private. They're not like if you work for the city or the school district or the government, to where you can go and your salaries are all structured, right? If you're a rec attendant at Garfield Community Center, and then you become the assistant coordinator, or you become a manager at SPU, those are all kind of negotiated by unions that represent the employees, whether it's a school district or Starbucks, who's taking a look at trying to unionize. I mean, Carpenters Union, anywhere, right? So bringing it back to the baseball, that's where the players union and the owners. So as I said, it always kind of comes full circle. So when we're going back to sports, what they're looking at in terms of, now the owners, how much they make, it's there because of the TV contract. So that's part of what the players always saying. You're getting billions from these TV contracts. And it's a big deal for the owners. So the players say, we want some of that cut. Classic. Is the TV there because of the product, right? The value of the product. And then that's what the owner's asking. The player says, well, without me, you would not be getting a contract. I am the product, so I should be paid, not as much as you, because the owners will say, well, I have costs. Any company, it costs money to run a business, right? Utilities and utilities, the building, and then parking and all these things. I have to make sure the asphalt and where you're parking, concessions, Well, the players say, well, wait a minute now, you're making money off the concessions. We want something. Now you can't have that, because the owners were smart enough to say each owner owns the building and the concessions are there. So the players are like, well, we can't touch that. Let's go to revenue, whether it's the TV or whether it's the other revenue stream outside of ticket sales is going to be merchandise. Then hence again comes the discussion. The players are like, wait a minute, that's my number. The owner says, yeah, it's your number, but it's my jersey, right? It says on there, example, Rainier Avenue Radio Wildcats. You know what I mean? And the player says, well, yeah, but the number 2 is the highest revenue selling jersey. So is it the Rainier Avenue Radio Wildcats, or is it the number 2 that represents, let's say, bring it, that represents D Money. You know what I mean? So as an example, just to kind of have fun with it. So D Money's going to say, well, without me, without the name that says D Money on the back, that jersey number 2 ain't selling nothing. And he just hypothetically here, I'm not getting into the financials of Rainier Avenue Radio, but it's a great example to bring it home, right? So then Rainier Avenue, the station manager would go, well, let's negotiate. And that happens at KJR, that happens at King, that happens wherever, whatnot. So that gives you kind of example of what's going on. But unfortunately, what happens is, at least Rainier Avenue Radio, it's all good in the hood. Everybody is, good companies find a way to do that. And that's how you continue to your employees prosper, and then the company prosper too, and you find a good balance of that. But it's really, if you take a look, this is prevalent in terms of what's happening here now post-pandemic, right? The Starbucks, Microsoft, your local store, just look. So it's not too far. The lockouts, the negotiations are not too far detached in terms of what's going on and what's close to each and every person. So there you go. Unfortunately, with baseball owners, I just don't get it. I mean, the continued kind of head in the sand where they want to hold the bottom line. And in the end, the players lose out, the fans lose out, but the owners don't really lose out. So you have a lockout, you have a shortened season. But on more of a good news, today, I am a Seattle U alumni, so I'm going to use my platform. Today is the time for today's the Seattle University giving campaign. So all y'all alumni, and if you're not, you can go to Seattle University. You can go to the website itself and donate. It's fundraising for the athletic program, for the programs that are there. And so, like I said, as alumni, go out there, go to the website. I think we can pull this off. Apologies. It's been anyway. So I sent a bunch of videos to, D Money. Yeah, that's right. Because we like to be high tech 10 minutes before the show. Boy. All right. So, we're gonna go with that because he is the wizard. So let's see if we can do the Chris Victor Seattle U giving campaign video. Plug that there. Can we play that, D Money? I know I jumbled on.
Hey, Redhawks, Coach Vic here with Seattle U men's basketball. On February 24th, our Seattle U community will come together for SU Gives, our annual day of giving. We invite you to join us to make a gift of any level in support of our men's basketball student athletes. Your gifts will directly support the team and ensure that their experience is great both on the court and the classroom. We look forward to seeing all of you on February 24th. Thank you, and go Redhawks.
There you have it. Nicely done. Seattle U gives today. Donate to whether it's the Seattle U Athletic Fund or whether it's the other part, but they got great business, computer science, and like any other school. I just happen to go there, so I'm going to push that as alumni. So I'm going to push that. But you know what? If you're like, I'm good, you can give to Rainier Avenue Radio .world as well. So I'll stay on this giving theme. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we do that? Yeah. All y'all today, I urge you to go out and give to your favorite charity company or business or something like that. This is an unofficial campaign that Seattle Sports Weekly is doing. So you can donate to your university or your high school. High school is always good. You can always donate. Contact the AD or the school, your high schools. We have Metro Sports Weekly that we do here. We're a little bit on a hiatus for the next few weeks just because it's regionals and state playoffs. But Rainier Avenue Radio's gotcha. We gotcha because we'll continue to broadcast the region. Well, we did the Metro Championship. We did the regionals. That's where they're at right now. And then, of course, the big state Tacoma Dome. It's back after a couple of years. Yeah. So, Rainier Avenue Radio will be live in the Tacoma Dome and broadcasting men's and women's basketball all day. So if you can't get out there, Rainier Avenue Radio .world, who you got? I know, man, D Money's behind the scenes. He's doing all of that. Like Rick Dupree, we'll do some games. Joyce Taylor will do some games, and Tony Benton, also station director, will do some games. So plenty of stuff there. So again, that's a giving type of situation. That's how we got into that. Give. You know what? And the thing you got to understand about it, we all think that, man, I don't have enough, but any little bit helps. 5, 10, 15, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, whatever you got. It makes a difference in terms of that's any organization or business. That's what we're known for in the out here in the West Coast, in the Pacific Northwest, I should say. And speaking of Seattle U, real quickly, the women have a basketball game tonight. They will take on Utah Valley, who the 13-12, 8-6 in the WAC. Utah Valley is, and they've won 4 in a row. So the Seattle U 9-17 overall. The women, they are 4-11 in the WAC. They've lost 1, and they are second from the bottom in the WAC, 12 teams. So the women are trying, they got a chance. If they can win a couple games here, they can get in the top 10 standings and make their way. And make their way into the WAC tournament. So they have 3 games. So tonight, 6, Dixie State on Saturday, which is senior night. If you can get out there, they're gonna, there's all teams do that as well. And then they're at Chicago State, and hopefully they'll be in the WAC tournament, which begins Wednesday, March 9th in WAC Vegas. So if you get a chance, there you go. Get a chance tonight. If you can't make it to the women's basketball game, well, you better head on over to the to Lumen Field, because the Seattle Sounders take on Matagua, which in the second round of the Champions League. You're like, well, what is all of this about? Well, so in all the sports, soccer, in all the leagues, the top 2 or maybe the top 3 play in a tournament. You qualify for the next season's Champions League tournament. This happens in Euro, whether it's the Bundesliga, the English Premier League, La Liga, and all these teams play in this. It's an amazing tournament. It's called the Champions League. So that happens in Europe. And over here, the what you have for the Central America soccer, as well as Central America and the United States, they're in the CONCACAF. So they also do that. And it's a big deal. And because of how they finished last year, the Sounders are in the 16-team tournament knockout. Now, interesting enough, no team from Major League Soccer has ever won this tournament. Now, part of that, people say, well, it's because the way it's set up, because La Liga, the Mexican League, League X, plays 2 seasons, and the Sounders actually play 1. So the League MX, they start in the summer, and then they take a little bit of break, and then they start again in the fall. So the disadvantage is that the Major League Soccer, they're just now ramping into the tournament. And so some say, well, that's a disadvantage to those teams. And because, you just now, if you're Major League Soccer, the Sounders haven't played a league game yet. What they're playing now is they're playing this tournament game before they play Sunday's season opener. So they're not up to speed yet. But it's a prestigious tournament. It's one of the biggest tournaments that in your region. And so you want to win that. So that's been kind of the issue with that. But they played one game already, a 0-0 draw. So tonight, the winner, right, if Motagua scores and the Sounders don't, then they win 1-0, right, because of the away goal. But this one is it. The Sounders have a chance to advance to a tournament. They haven't done that. And it's, can they be that Major League Soccer team, the first one to win it? Sounders are fully healthy. They have everybody available for this team. So we're going to hear from Sounders head coach Brian Smetzer press conference on his squad for tonight.
I don't expect them to change. I mean, they want to win the game. It's important competition for them. They rested a bunch of starters on the weekend. So, I think both teams understand the circumstance, the opportunity. So, I think they'll still come and press. It's part of their DNA. Their coach said it in an interview, part of who they are is the passion that they play with. So we're expecting a similar match. An MLS team has to, win this tournament. We, the Sounders, our mantra has always been, we want to try and, be successful and win every tournament competition that we enter. So yeah, there's a lot riding on this as always. I wouldn't say we're putting any added pressure on ourselves, but it's certainly not pleasant. Well, they were very good defensively, very sound. I mean, we had a very good chance with Albert Rusnak in the first half. I think Jordan had a good chance in the second half, but they made things difficult for us. There's good players down there that are playing for Motagua. What we are going to try and do, though, is try and be a little bit more goal dangerous. Yes, you can credit your opponent. The field was a little heavy. We're going to be at home. We're going to have fans in the building. There'll be a different energy. And we hope that some of those things will allow us to score a goal or multiple goals. And then we have to do a good job defensively as well, because they have some good attacking players as well. Yeah, Nuhu's 100%. JP is 100% available for selection. Dan Leva is 100% available for selection. Jimmy Madranda is not.
There you go. That is head coach Brian Smetzer giving the lowdown on tonight's winner-take-all CONCACAF Champions League Game 2 of the tournament. So the only it's a winner-take-all. The only Sounders have to win the game outright, and so if it's a 1-1 draw, then Motagua wins because of the when you play a two-legged series in soccer, you go to whoever has the most away goals, right? But this since it was 0-0, then it's a fresh start. But now you come in, if they score, Motagua, Sounders have to score 2 to counter the away goal. If it's 0-0, they go into a playoff to a playoff match there. And that is so, big thing, big, much about to do about that needs to be done. So look for the Sounders are really stacked this season. I know, we're gonna come and we will do a Sounders preview with Matt Pence is gonna come up, and not today, but in a couple weeks. And the athletic soccer writer, national writer as well, and Andrew Harvey, who is another writer, broadcaster, used to work for the OL Reign is a broadcaster, and also in the department. Guy knows soccer. He knows soccer. So he's gonna jump on and gonna give us a kind of a they'll give us a rundown of what's going on in terms of what the Sounders are. But man, everybody's coming back. Jordan Morris was injured. He came back. Raul Ruidiaz had a great season last year, but this year, fine. He was in the running for the top goal scorer, but the Golden Boot League is what it's called. And then Nicholas Ladera is finally healthy, so we'll look to see him. He's such an impact player. His ability to change the game in the midfield, because Ladero is. I mean, he can, if he gets the ball in the left, he can hang on to it. And soccer is real critical to be able to ball possession, but do something with it. You're Spencer talking about being goal dangerous. What that means is that you have the vision and the ability to see your players that are running towards the goal, get them that pass. That's goal dangerous. Your plays is inside the box, as opposed to, you can have the ball in the midfield all you want, but it's not, you're not putting any pressure on your opponent. By being goal dangerous, you now are inside the 20, 25, 20, 15, inside the goal box and putting pressure on the defense. So that's exactly what we say about being goal dangerous. So there you go. In terms of the Sounders, I think the Seahawks if you look, right now, it's the preseason, it's the off season for the Seahawks. And but we'll do that next week. We'll kind of go into it. The combine is coming up, and we'll touch base just a little wee bit on that. My main guy, Lars Hanson from the Dawg Report. Hey, Lars, what's happening?
No damn, Oz. Yeah, it's crazy that the combine is really right around the corner, but it still feels a little bit away.
Yeah, and so I had it somewhere. I should have had it for you, but in terms of, I think the Huskies have the fifth number of players invited. So I'll see if I can't pull that up. I got a email from the NFL, and they were like blase, and I was like, another. But it was worth it. So, what's going on over there? Let me ask you something. We're gonna talk basketball. I'm gonna save the Sue Bird. We're gonna go on break. We'll talk Sue Bird, and the Storm had a press conference, saying she's coming back for another year. We'll hear from that. Kind of wanted to hear your take on it a little bit, and somebody who's your sports guy, and we'll talk a little bit about on the other side of the break, but just your thoughts on that, and then we'll talk basketball. Pac-12 basketball. You've been watching any game? I'll put you at a spot.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. The first leg of what in your favorite world soccer would be, because they got the aggregate leg coming back on Saturday, I believe, on this side of the state. But yeah, that was an interesting game last night. That question of what happens at the end of the season is going to keep coming up, especially with these results.
Wow. Well done. See, that's why you're that person. Absolutely. In terms of, I saw what you did there, tying the aggregate. The reason why is because WSU, UW played in Pullman. We have those highlights, and they play again on Saturday. Nice. All right, I tell you what, why don't we go on break? We'll talk about Sue Bird basketball and whatever else is going on and whatever we want to talk about and what we think the viewers are. So we're going to come right back on Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire. He's Lars Hanson, the Dawg Report. We'll be right back. Let's go on. Hey, we made the break right on time for a change. All right.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not busy tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Women Empowerment Talk Radio, your roadmap to business success. Tune in every Sunday at 3 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, providing resources and sharing motivational experiences from the everyday entrepreneur. Tune in Women Empowerment Talk Radio every Sunday, 3 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
All lovers, check out the Quiet Storm Dedication Show with Sergio LaCour on Love Lines. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Pacific on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
I love the music.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle-King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African-American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
All right, we are back. Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire of CascadiaSports.net. And with me is Lars Hanson of the Dawg Report. What's up, Lars?
Not much, Maz. We got a lot of coincidentally hoops to talk about. It's a rarity that, although, because I was just looking it up during the break, and we're going to get to this later on after we get to the important basketball in the beginning, because we want to talk about winners in the beginning, and then we'll talk about the rest of the basketball when we get to it. But it's crazy how you can have the best and still be middle of the pack, but yet when we get to the Storm, you're talking about bringing one great back, two great back, three great back. It's just talent all over the place, and so that it's not just about having that one player or even those two players. It's about having a collective of team going towards the right goal and having that same goal be actually real versus just kind of spoken.
Wow. All right. I think you're talking about the Seattle Storm and the University of Washington basketball team. But
it's a good guess.
Wow.
No, you're right.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Let's stay up top and go with the Seattle Storm. And so they announced, made it official as I said, 21st year. And she's a 4-time WNBA champion, 12-time All-Star, and WNBA's all-time assist leader, Sue Bird is. And there's one more thing here. I mean, if you want to talk about a winner, this is who you call a winner. She last year, am I going to retire? Am I not? Maybe I will. She averages 10 points, 5.3 assists, and 0.9 steals per game. And so this isn't somebody who's coming back to say, well, let me do a rocking chair tour and let me kind of, collect a bunch of trinkets so that, no, she came back to win a championship and very effective. And as I said, four championships with the Storm. And I'm just one of the most decorated athletes in the game of basketball. She's one of the NBA's all-decade team, top 15 player, top 20, and was named to the W25 women's team in 2021 as one of the 25 greatest and most influential players in league history. Let's just hear from Sue Bird. How about that? So this is actually Sue Bird during the press conference that they held over at the New Digs Champions Claim. So see if Daniel, can we get the Sue Bird video? Maybe. All right. So we're not gonna get that right now. So we'll come back. We'll get to. Oh, so never got it. Okay. Let's tell you what we're going to do. While we get the video, Lars, what's your take on Sue Bird?
I mean, I think one of the things that I would be intrigued to know was because Brianna Stewart came back and that was already done and announced. And Sue's kind of that final key because like you said, she's not coming back to collect checks. She's not doing it for stats. She's doing it to win the team and the organization one more championship. And she's that final key missing piece because if you don't have Sue, you kind of got to go figure it out because now you're messing with the chemistry and you're also losing a talented player. So bringing Sue back was an easy decision, but I wonder how easy was it for her to make that decision. I think that's because we can always look at the optics and say, oh, it's easy for her to come back. She could just play until she's, however, or, because Sue's been somebody who can just do it year in and year out. Doesn't matter how or why. But as you get older, it's like, okay, well, can she really still bring it?
All
right, let's hear.
Every press conference we have, which is awesome. Thank you all for coming here today. It's an exciting day for Storm basketball. The room's getting more full and more full every press conference we have, which is awesome. Thank you all for coming here today. It's an exciting day for Storm basketball to be here. We're less than 2 months from the start of training camp to here at the Storm Champions Center right next to Sue is Storm basketball. She has been Storm basketball and really represents this franchise in so many different ways. On the court, she's the best point guard. Who is Storm basketball? She has been Storm basketball and really represents this franchise in so many different ways. On the court, she's the best point guard in the league, in history. Everything that she does from her individual ability, but also the way that she makes her teammates better. She makes our whole organization better.
It's an honor to hear people when they talk about the city of Seattle and Storm basketball to know that I'm synonymous with that. Synonymous with the things we've done on the court, the things we've done off the game. I become a little bit more of a fan in those moments because I see the young talent. I see where the league is going. I see that the trajectory is going up. Way up in all the ways, both on and off the court. And then I think about my nieces, right? Like these young girls that are going to see players like myself, players like the younger generation, and they get to have role models. So the legacy kind of involved in all of that inspires me as well. And then also little boys too, like little boys. I've kind of come to this place where for little girls, we now provide an opportunity, our league does, for see it, be it moments. And I think for little boys, it's really important. It's not necessarily see it, be it, but it's like, maybe it's see it, respect it in a way. And that can really change, you know, how women in sport are looked at.
And there you go. A little rough audio at the end there, but I mean at the beginning, but we kind of figured that out. So, yeah. And your question was how difficult it was for her to come back, or how the effect it had on Breanna Stewart.
Well, I think actually, we'll kind of mix of both there, but she touched on it a little bit. And when she talked about her niece, the nieces and the younger players that are coming up, part of it is like, okay, well, are you taking a spot that could be used for a younger player to get a bigger role and develop, or are you just kind of still doing your role? And I think that is pretty clear. Sue's coming back to play her role. You don't turn away one of the all-time great point guards. You know, when you have a floor general like Sue, who can make it, can distribute it, can do everything, you want to utilize that as much as possible, but still bring on your younger players, because sometimes we've seen it in many pro sports where the old players, they stay, and then they all retire, and it's like, wait a minute, we got nothing in the chamber to come back with. Now we're going to be down for 3 or 4 years. One thing about the Storm is they've always been there. They've always kind of been right at that tier, to where even if they're switching out a couple of players, like when they added Breanna Stewart through the draft and lost Lauren Jackson, that sort of thing, they didn't take a step back. You know, so that I think to me was an interesting dichotomy there. And the other point that Sue hit on was just the importance of basketball in the city. You know, it's not just young girls, it's young boys. It's having an appreciation for the sport itself. And when you don't have an NBA team, I think that allows her to almost kind of be elevated even more, as she should be. Because, you know, when you have an NBA team, like, oh, look at Ray Allen, look at Richard, look at all these guys. And it's like, wait, but there's all more. And Sue touched on it. And I think that's actually been really cool to see how much the community has been involved with the Storm and vice versa.
Yeah, they really have. And I mean, I remember when Sue came to Garfield Community Center with Ray Allen to read to the kids at the community center years ago. So they've been amazing. No, but in terms of her commitment to the community, and then I just thought her, when she finally had the freedom to express herself and her partner and all those things. Again, those are all groundbreaking, groundbreaking announcement that set the, you know, they set the place so that it's not just about the females. I think it's just to see her mature to a place where she understands her voice is more holistic. And during the press conference, her partner, Megan Rapinoe, her fiance, because of soccer, is more global. Sue is now beginning to understand the impact of her global. You saw this with Michael Jordan at the beginning, right? I mean, and then obviously you saw Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, in terms of just how that helped the NBA become a global icon. So there you go. Incredible. And I think they're in it to win the championship, like the Sounders. I think if they don't, it'd be interesting to see if it's somebody beats them and plays well, then, you know, it's one of those, hey, we did the best we could. And I don't see either one of these teams, especially the Storm and the Sounders, playing poorly. Injuries, they're both overcome injuries already. So, so the Pac-12 has 36 participants in the combine, and yeah, there you go. So, well, that's kind of half. What am I saying? Let me just go down to the whole list. So, number of participants in the combine: SEC has 82, Big Ten 54, Pac-12 36. Big 10, 54, right? Big 12 has 35, ACC 34, American Conference 20, Mountain West 14, Independent 8, Conference Independent. So are those 8 Notre Dame players?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame and BYU probably.
Only 8?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Notre Dame's probably going to have, 3 or 4. BYU might have 2, and I mean, there's a few other independent schools out there. I'm not sure I mean, it's hard to consider Notre Dame independent when they're having an ACC schedule, but semantics are going to be what they are.
Yeah, they are. Conference USA 7, the MAC, the Sun Belt. Wow. So, and you know, we'll do coverage wall to wall when it starts. I'm looking at this email, and they're like, the NFL is like, yeah, this is March the 3rd to March the 6th, and they're like more than 50 hours of live combine coverage. Goodness me. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be watching all of that, but there'll be some pieces. The NFL, this is the beginning of the NFL season, as odd as it comes. But all right, D Money, let's just go to the highlights of the B-ball.
I don't expect them to change.
Oh no, the basketball. We want to see the WSU playing the UW.
Flowers, the leading scorer this season for the Cougars at 13 points per game. A volume shooter, averages 11 field goal attempts a game. An alley-oop as they find Langston Wilson again. He's already doubled up his season average, AB.
That was a rare three-pointer.
Yeah, that goes back to you played before the three-point line, right, AB?
Don't you start with me, young man.
Muhammad Gay has all 6 of Washington State's points so far.
I mean, they're coming in and growling and just eating the rim.
A lot of paint points here early. This time, F.A. Abogidi, the sophomore from Nigeria, with the slam.
Eat your heart out, Lefty, Duncan, and then Abogidi.
Maybe run the table there if they get an opportunity. These two teams meeting on back-to-back games tonight and Saturday as Muhammad Gay, a mid-range and one. He is up to 10 points now.
Coming down, that's a makeable shot for him, and I like Terrell Brown, that forced his offense. That's another shot.
After the miss, it's F.A. Abogidi. 1 for 9 now after that Flowers miss. You see the rebound stats there. Just 1 rebound separating the margin. Flowers trying again on the far side. And the second three-pointer of the game for Flowers and for the Cougars as a team.
Zone at times in the first half, so they've been mixing up their looks against the Huskies.
Ball knocked away from Terrell Brown. As the leading scorer in the Pac-12, Brown has had few and far opportunities on the offensive end.
And for Washington, you're seeing now Terrell Brown off the ball. They got some size on him, Noah, but that's what he's got to do, attack the basket.
Abogidi sends it back.
So for the Huskies, they got to have a bend, but don't break.
7 of the 9 rebounds that Abogidi has pulled down have been on the offensive glass. PJ Fuller. 8 turnovers now on Washington State. Washington has closed the gap down to 7. Brown stepped back at the free throw line. The Huskies need some more of that as Brown is up to 6 points. I just love the different wrinkles that each team seems to have, especially down the stretch as they've figured out their rotations, figured out who they're going with and who their game time players are going to be.
And then you've had 17 by Fuller. Both of those guys on their teams have been fantastic.
Count it for Terrell Brown as he was sprawled across the floor.
Knowing who he is, that's where he's effective. He was shooting three-pointers.
Abogidi trying to dunk that one from the free throw line. Way short. Back the other way, PJ Fuller brings Washington within 1.
Remember at the 4:45 mark, I said, can Washington State finish? Now they've got to execute.
Abogidi, his 10th offensive rebound of the game. Will be a victory at home on the Palouse for Washington State.
Against their in-state rival, well done. They earned that one. Enjoy it, because in 48 hours, you got to strap it up and do it again against the same team.
All right, there you go. Abogidi, my man from Nigeria. I just think he's African, so he's my man. You know how that goes. So, look. So, you've lost 4 in a row. You're 8-8 in conference. You're 13-13. You're right. If I was going to say average, This is it. And lastly, you are sitting, actually, Lars, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 7th, right? In the Pac-12, UW is, and they were supposed to finish 6th. So,
okay, but there's a few questions that now linger with that because one, should UW let's just talk about the program itself. Is UW basketball the 6th best team in the conference? Just should they be higher or should they be lower? Like I think in UW, I think they should be like 5 or 4. The amount of resources the university has, the recruiting base that everybody talks about. You got Garfield, you got a bunch of players around the state, but yet what it turns into is still middle of the pack. Hopkins goes into the transfer portal and gets a bunch of guys from the local ties to come back. Terrell Brown, Dejon Davis, Emmett Matthews Jr., all these guys, but it's still not enough for whatever reason. I mean, you look back in the beginning of the season and you're losing to out-of-conference teams that you have no business losing to. Then you run into the conference slate. It's like, okay, well, I guess it's not surprising that you lose to Washington State on the road, given you couldn't beat some of these other teams at home.
Northern Illinois, 64-71, you lost. And to your point, and then the other one was Wyoming. You lost 72-77 overtime. Go right ahead.
Right. And again, we could be splitting hairs in terms of, they were getting blown out. But again, a loss is still a loss. You don't look at it and say, well, he had a lot of close games there. It's like, okay, I had a lot of close losses, but I also lost 5 in a row. Like, what are we talking about here? It's like, where is the trajectory? We talked about this a few weeks ago. Where is the trajectory of the program? Is it going up? Is it staying stagnant? Is it kind of doing a roller coaster going up and down? And this season, it's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster, but it's more stagnation than anything else because you win 4 in a row against teams you should beat, but then you lose 4 in a row, including now to Washington State. If you lose to Washington again at home, now you're losing 5 in a row, 2 games left to play in the season. You're going into a conference tournament where the only way you make the NCAA tournament is if you win the conference tournament, because they're not going to get in at that large bid, and it's not going to be close.
What? No.
Shocker, I know, but mind blown on that thought. But so then again, it goes back to where is the trajectory of the program? If you're a coach and you're going and sitting and talking with your athletic director and saying, hey, well, last off season we hit the portal hard, we made some changes, we did this, and we got better. Okay, but yeah, last season couldn't have been any worse than any other time in school's history. Like, it was the worst year in terms of men's basketball success that the university's ever had, and it's not close. And 2 years prior to that, you were in the tournament and winning 20 games in a row. So what happened? Is this the guy that's going to right the ship and go in the right direction, or do we need to start over again? One thing about college basketball is the transfer portal can make it, lickety split. You can kind of revamp your roster pretty quick. But that only is half the battle. You got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And can you coach these guys? And I think that's the one thing that it's still waiting to see is it's like, okay, a lot of those highlights there, we're seeing guys out of position. Jamal Bay way out, having to close out on a 3-pointer, getting beat on the inside. There's no inside game. It's like, okay, what's the trajectory of the program? You bring in Jackson Grant, who was a 4-star in-state. You didn't get Paolo Banchero, but of course that was never going to happen, and so even Jackson hasn't been doing that much. He's played 23 games, but he's only getting 6 minutes a pop, So if he's a guy that you're going to be building towards for the future, why is he not playing more? Well, is it because he's not developing, because the coaches can't develop? Whatever the reason is, these things aren't happening. And as much as you want to play the nice guy card, it's like, nice guys finish middle of the pack or last. It doesn't matter. We need winners.
Okay, Mr. I need winner. Right. You got the Cougars again, like you said, Saturday. You have UCLA Monday, Oregon. Oh, wow. So your last four games are at home. You finished the season at home. The Cougars we just talked about, but the Bruins, the Ducks, Bruins on Monday, the Ducks on Thursday, and then the Beavers the following Saturday. What do you need, Mr. Winner? How far do you have to go? I'm sorry, I should finish. First round is Wednesday for the Pac-12, and then obviously the next day and the next day and the next day, because you go first round, quarterfinals, semifinals that Friday, and then championship game on Saturday. I was going to go down there, but I thought better of it. I was going to go down and see the WAC and that, but I was like, unpredictable. But let me ask you, not about me. What is it that you need to see from the Huskies? You win your first round game, and then you crash out in the quarterfinals?
Well, I mean, if they win their first round, I'll be impressed. But if it starts this Saturday, if you lose to Washington State at home, it's over. It doesn't matter, because you're not gonna beat Oregon, you're not gonna beat UCLA. Maybe you'll beat Oregon State on the last day of the season, but then you go into the tournament. Who are you facing? You're probably facing either Oregon State again, maybe Utah. If you can get out of the first round of the tournament, okay, maybe, but then you're going to get bounced in the second round. So it's putting off the inevitable is what it is. You're already on a 4-game losing streak, and I don't see anything on this team that's going to flip a switch in the next month or in the next 2 weeks. It's like, hey, all the pieces are finally coming together. It's like, no. The wheels are slowly coming off. They're just very, very slowly coming off.
All right, so as far as the Pac-12 tournament goes, that Wednesday, right? Number 8 plays 9, 5 plays 12. They're not going to be 5. I doubt they'll be 12. So they're probably going to be an 8th seed or a 9th seed.
And that would be probably what you might even be facing Washington State again.
Yeah.
And so if you lose to Washington State at home, that's what I'm saying. If you lose to Washington State at home and combine that with the loss in Pullman, what gives you a thought that third time is going to be the charm? It's like, hey, a team's got your number once, and then they beat you again a different way. Now they've beaten you twice, back to back, 2 different ways. It's really hard to find any kind of spark to say, hey, yeah, we'll get him on the third time. And even if you get him on the third time and you make it to the second round of the tournament, you're probably facing, again, either Utah, Arizona, Oregon, and none of those teams UW is beating.
Man, Lars. I say we differ. How you go into the Pac tournament, what you do in the Pac tournament is going to be critical, because whether you lose to Wazoo or not, right? I think if you lose to them, you know what I mean? Both games, that should give you some impotence to say, you know what, let's go and try to, and you beat them, that is Wazoo, then in the tournament, I think you can say you're improving, right? So let's just take a look at it right now. So they're 7th, as we said. Yeah, they would play Stanford if things stayed the way they are. Huskies 7th, Stanford is 8th, right? And then if they won, they would play, the number 1 seed. Yeah, because 8-9 would play the number 1 seed. And that would be Arizona. How's that going to work out for you?
I mean, how has that worked out this season? Like, I don't think either of those games have been within 10 at the end of it. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Arizona's had their number pretty clearly. And so, even again against Stanford, I know they beat them once this year, but it's like, okay, hit or miss against Stanford. Maybe you win, maybe you get a little momentum, and then you face a real basketball team in Arizona, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind.
Well, you never know. You could beat Arizona, and now you're, here you go. Now you're in the semifinals. So you get to the semifinals, you keep your job.
I mean, the question you'd have asked to ask is, what do you want your basketball program to be? Because if you want Mike Hopkins to continue being a coach, I think he's a fantastic guy, fantastic person.
You just tell me, you get to the semifinals.
If you keep your job, sure. But again, I look at it more holistically where, okay, yeah, you made it to the third round of the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament, but where's the trajectory of the program going? What do you have coming? Is it going to be any different next year? Are we going to be competing for the NIT again next year? And I think that's the case.
So, sorry, my man, I got to step all over you because I'm getting that, hey, we got to go. I'll tell you one person who's going to keep their job is you. So we'll be glad to see you next week. That's, you know what I mean? That's our guy. So glad to have you. See you next week. And we might have to get Rick Hasner or somebody else that can, delve down a little deeper. But all right, he is. So parting words, Lars, as we go.
I would love to see a win Saturday.
All right, there you go. You're from alumni, but all right, we'll leave it at that. All right, he's Lars Hanson of the Dawg Report, amongst other things. I'm Mazvita Maraire, CascadiaSports.net. Thank you all for listening. D-Money, thanks for working it out. Coming up next is Afternoons with Monique, and we're out. There it is.